Hello, hi, all the viewers. First of all, I thank for all the viewers for viewing my videos. Today, we are going to learn about elasticity of demand. So, actually, this elasticity of demand derived from the physics and later it is started to using in economics. What is in physics? Elasticity in physics is an index of reaction. Now, we'll see the meaning of elasticity. So here, the elasticity of demand is generally defined as the responsiveness of a demand to a change in one of its determinants, while other determinants remain constant. Now, we already discussed that is demand is a function of price, income, price of related products, advertisement, etc. There are a number of factors which are determined by demand. One of other factors remain constant when demand is a function of price. So when demand and price, when it is move opposite reaction, that is opposite relation, that is called as a demand law. Now here, previous class we discussed that is there is a movement in the demand, that is when higher the price, lesser quantity demanded. When lesser the price, greater quantity demanded. So there is a movement on the same demand curve. Now the question here arises, what percentage prices decreased so that quantity increased? What percentage prices increased with response to that price increasing? What percentage or what proportionate quantities decreased? What percentage and what proportionate? To know exactly this elasticity concept introduced in the economics. Once again I repeat, elasticity of demand is generally defined as responsiveness of a demand to a change one of its determinants. So one of the determinants. So remaining other remain constant. Demand is a function of price. Other factors remain constant. Now in this case, price elasticity we are going to learn. So what is the price elasticity? The responsiveness or sensitiveness changes in quantity demanded. The responsiveness or sensitiveness, maybe I'll add like this, or proportionate or percentage changes in quantity demanded. Why this quantity demanded change is because of changes in price. What about other factors? Other factors remain constant. So one of its determinants is responded. These other factors remain constant. So here, price elasticity of demand is a measure of the responsiveness of a demand for a good to change in its price. So here the price elasticity demand is a changes in quantity demanded. Right? Changes in quantity demanded. Why? Because of changes in price of the good. So changes in the quantity demanded of the good, okay, changes in price of the good. This is what the equation. When we rewrite that equation, now changes in quantity demanded. So changes we using delta Q by changes in quantity means there is already some original quantities there. So price elasticity demand is the change in quantity demanded. So means already some quantity is there. Then changes in price of the good. Changes in price means already some price exists. When we rewrite this, changes in quantity by changes in price into price by quantity. So this is how we would derive the equation. Once again, price elastic demand is a measure of the responsiveness. So once again I repeat, responsiveness or sensitiveness or proportionate or percentage changes in quantity demanded of the good. Why? Because change in the price of the good. What about other factors? Other factors is remain constant. So if it is example, instead of writing price, if you write income, income of a consumer, changes in income. So then it would going to become income elasticity. So now if we can write, it is a changes in that is related products, that is a advertisement, related product, that is a substitute and complements, maybe substitutes. Here a product A or change in the price of the product or good B. Then we are going to say it is a cross elasticity. So then we can say if it is changes in advertisement, then we call it as a advertisement elasticity. In economics, for the study purpose, the plus 2, that is a 12. Only few they introduce, that is price elasticity demand, and what previously I said, income elasticity and advertisement elasticity. Let us solve one problem, that is, suppose the price of onion rises from 10 rupees to 12. So rupees 10 to 12 per kg. Right? And the quantity demanded decrease. It's very simple. When the price is increased 10 to 12, means increase 2 rupees, definitely quantity will be decreased. That is a 10 rupees to 8 kgs. So now we should calculate price elasticity demand. It's very simple. So price elasticity demand is changes in quantity demanded of the good is because of changes in the price of the good. What about other factors? Other factors remain constant. We can solve this one very simply. Now price changes from changes in price delta equals 10 to 12. 10 to 12 equals what is 2. Changes in quantity, that is quantity demanded from 10 kgs to 8 kgs. 10 kgs to 8 kgs. It is minus 2. When we substitute these numbers to the equation, the quantity is minus 2. Change in price 2. What is the original price? It is 10. Original quantity is 10. So elasticity equals minus 1. So now in the elasticity analysis, we would ignoring this sign. Only we want to know what is the relative changes that are taking place because of changes in price, that is a determinant factor of the demand. So in absolute sense, we not bother about the sign. So it's simple. We can say what is the elasticity? It is of 1. What is the relative change that are taking place is that 1. So that is how we can solve the elasticity demand. Discuss classification of price elasticity demand. Classification of price elasticity demand. So there are 5 degrees or 5 classification, that is perfectly elastic demand, perfectly inelastic demand, unitary elastic demand. Now we'll write on the other side 1, 2, 3, 4, relatively elastic demand, elastic demand. Fifth one, relatively inelastic demand. So these are the 5 degrees of elastic demand. First we'll learn one by one in detail. So what is perfectly elastic demand? So perfectly elastic demand, so it is elasticity equals infinity. In this case, diagram goes like this. That is horizontal strike. Y-axis is a quantity demanded and supply and the price. So here is the demand. It is elasticity is infinity. A small change in price leads to infinity quantity demanded. A small change. Maybe if a small increase in price, definitely the total quantity demanded would have been reduced. A small decrease in price, infinity quantity demanded. In this case, demand curve is perfectly horizontal or perfectly elastic demand. Now second one. So that is relatively perfectly inelastic demand. Elasticity equals, this is a demand curve, elasticity equals 0. Whatever changes in quantity, whatever change in price, maybe 2 rupees, 4 rupees or maybe 6 rupees. Whatever change in price, quantity demand remains the same. The simple example for this, salt. So here for household usage of salt, maybe 1 kg is given. So whatever, it may be 4 rupees, 10 rupees, whatever the price, the quantity demand is remain the same. So perfectly elastic. In this case, elasticity equals 0. Now, another one, relatively unitary elastic. So here the percentage, proportionate or responsiveness changes in quantity demand is exactly equal to the change in price. Now here exactly equal. The price changes, quantity changes exactly equals. Maybe here exactly same distance. Maybe 2 to 4 rupees or maybe 2 to 4 rupees. Changes in price, quantity demand is 2. Maybe change in price also 2. So exactly quantity demand again same. That's why elasticity here 1. The percentage or proportionate change in quantity demand is exactly equal to the percentage proportionate change in price. Now another one, relatively elastic demand. So in relatively elastic demand, first we will see that one here, elastic demand curve. So what is there? It's look like a, okay, that is totally horizontal. So we should write the diagram. So many of you people difficult to write, facing difficult in writing. We make it like same like horizontal line. So make this, join these points, and again make it like this. A gap distance is very high, maybe 2 to 6, and here 4 and again 2. 4, 2. Now elasticity greater than 1. Now in this case, a responsiveness change in quantity demanded is greater. How much? That is a change in 4 units. A change in just 2 units. A responsiveness or sensitiveness change in quantity demand is more than the change in price. So a response, how much price decrease? 2 rupees. But whatever the quantity they increase, it is of 4. So responsiveness is more than the, what is the decrease in or increase in price. Then finally, that is a relatively inelastic demand. So it is like vertical. So same way you can write vertical line and also you join the points. In this case, a responsiveness change in quantity demanded is less than the change in price. Maybe here the same number I write. So changes in 4, here changes in 2. So a responsiveness or sensitiveness change in quantity demand is less than the change in price. So these are the 5 degrees of elasticity demand or classification of price elastic demand. Perfectly elastic demand, a small change in price leads to infinity quantity demanded. Whatever change in price, quantity demanded remains same. That is why elasticity equals 0. The best example I said is a salt. And unitary elastic. So in the unitary elastic demand, exactly the proportionate change in quantity. Here, unitary. The proportionate change in quantity demanded exactly equals to the proportionate change in price. So 2 rupees decrease, 2 rupees increase, or else 2 rupees increase, 2 quantity demanded is decreased. Now, relatively elastic or more elastic. We also say it is a more elastic. In this case, the proportionate or percentage change in quantity demand is more than proportionate percentage change in price. Now in this case, relatively inelastic or less elastic. In this case, proportionate percentage change in quantity demand is less than proportionate percentage change in price. So this is all about price elasticity. Now see another one, factors determining price elasticity demand. Factors determining price elasticity demand. Factors determining price elasticity demand. First of all, we'll see nature of the commodity. In nature of the commodity, we have luxurious and comforts and necessary products. When luxurious and comforts, people demand, it's always tend to be elastic. Means when the reduction in price of the people ready to buy that kind of products. What about the necessary product? That's a food, milk, and which is daily using. Whatever the price that they may charge, so demand that to be inelastic. So based on it. So one important thing we must understand, determining price elasticity is different and demand determinants also different. So in this, less elastic, more elastic will come. That is why people are demanding the products. Now, availability of substitutes. If more substitutes are available, then people always compare price one to other. So they comparing, then only they will buy. So if more substitute available, definitely there is a demand is elastic or elastic substitute. That is a more elastic. So if it is no substitutes, that time the demand for that inelastic. No substitute. So example, the best example which I always said, salt. There is no substitute for salt. In that case, then what is the whatever price they charge, they will going to accept. And again, the quantity demanded, they will demand. Then level of income of the people. So generally, very high income group people, very high income is very high. So that time the demand is inelastic. So means they are not bothered about what are the price they charge. But poor people, so they always compare. So they will say that one, the demand is elastic. They try to compare and buy the products. So poor people or income less group of people, demand is elastic. So now habit. A person is habituated. So that time they never bother about the price. So means habituated, very high, that is inelastic demand. Inelastic means they not bother about the price, they need that one. Best example, tea, coffee, cigarette, people who have that habit, they will not bother about the price. So that time demand is inelastic. What about when there is not habituated? That time the demand is elastic. Then price of the good. Generally a moderate price. So your demand is elastic. Moderate price, not very high, not very low. So that time the demand is elastic. So if it is very high, or very low, demand is inelastic. So very high or very low, demand is inelastic. The reason is that they will want to think so whether to buy or not. So it is inelastic. Then period of time. Generally in the short period of time, demand is inelastic. In a short period of time, demand is inelastic. In the long period, it is elastic. Very simple. A person in the short run maybe is a vegetarian, but in the long run, he may become non-vegetarian, or non-vegetarian become vegetarian. So in the period of time, short term is inelastic and long term is elastic. Then market awareness. In market awareness, enlightened people. So enlightened people, always their demand is elastic. So because they will compare, they will see and they will buy the products. Ignorant people, their demand is inelastic. So they don't know about their products prices. So definitely their demand is inelastic. Ignorant. What about possibility of substitute, possibility of postpone? If a possibility of postponing in future, so that time elastic demand. We can postpone certain goods at present. Say example, motorbike we plan to buy, so we can postpone. We plan to buy some TV, refrigerator, we can postpone it. So that time demand tend to be elastic. If certain things which is not here, we are not supposed to be postponed, that time demand is inelastic. So why? Example, maybe medicines, patients' medicines, drugs, which is very much required, so that we cannot postpone. In that case, the demand is inelastic. And finally, number of uses of a product. If you are using multiple of uses of single product, so that time the demand is elastic. So very simple example, coal. So we are using multiple, or maybe if it's less in price, electric house, that is electric power house, we can use multiple. So what about single use? If it is a single use like pesticides, seeds, that time the demand is inelastic. So these are the factors which determine the elastic demand. Nature of the commodity, luxuries, comforts, availability of substitutes. If no substitutes available, demand is inelastic. Substitutes are there, elastic. Level of income of the people. Very high income people, demand always inelastic. Poor people, elastic. Habituated, it is an inelastic. Not habituated, elastic. Price of a good. So if it is a moderate price, demand is elastic, and very high or very low, it is an inelastic. Period of time. In the short term, it is inelastic. Long term, it is elastic. Market awareness. People, enlightened people, they demand of the product is elastic, and ignorant people, so their demand is inelastic. Possibility of postpone. Certain things we cannot postpone, that time inelastic demand. If we are postponed it, then demand is elastic. The number of uses of commodity. If there is a multiple of uses, then demand is absolutely elastic. And if it is only specific use, the demand is elastic. So these are, if it is only specific use, the demand is inelastic. So these are certain factors of which determining the price elasticity demand. Thank you for watching.